MMA fans, and welcome to another edition of Stare Down MMA TV. Of course, we're all excited for this weekend's upcoming UFC 145 event, which of course features the light heavyweight championship between John Bones Jones and Sugar Rashad Evans. But there's a few other fights that we might want to take a couple minutes and focus on, just because, you know, of all the heat and the friction and media coverage that Rashad and John are getting here. Thought we'd just go ahead and start off with Che Mills versus Rory McDonald, which is a killer welterweight matchup. And on the undercard, might not be getting as much press, but Rory McDonald is definitely one of the more hyped fighters at 170. Somebody that George St-Pierre is giving a glowing endorsement to. He's on quite a roll. His only loss is to, of course, new interim welterweight champion Carlos Condit. And you know, of course, the fight that he's got coming up here against Che Mills, you got a guy who's got lead in his hands, and you've also got a guy who's on a 5-fight winning streak, so you've got a very interesting matchup there. Sure to be a lot of fireworks, sure to be an extremely exciting matchup between two guys with a lot of skill and also a lot of power. But speaking of power, we're probably going to go ahead and focus on the heavyweight division, and we've got Chad Griggs coming over from Strikeforce, who's going to be taking on the undefeated Travis Brown in a heavyweight clash. Griggs, who pretty much looks like a gravedigger in a horror film and has left pretty much about as many bodies in his wake, is going to be taking on Brown. This should be a pretty awesome segue into UFC 146, which is pretty much could be called Night of the Heavyweights. Should be a lot of powerful, hard shots thrown between these two guys, and somebody's probably sure to fall asleep quickly in this one. But, you know, we want to go ahead and shift gears a little bit, and we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about another welterweight matchup, and we've got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson making his second appearance in the octagon, taking on the ever-tough and perennial madman Matt Brown, you know, who just seems to be that guy that you can't kill. He just had to come off a great performance against Chris Cope. He's going to be taking on Stephen Thompson, who just had that wonderful highlight reel head kick knockout of Dan Stygian, which of course, you know, made the pretty much front page of every publication that was out there. This guy's awesome. He was a fantastic undefeated kickboxer, and he's coming over and, you know, he's making quite a name for himself quickly. So this should be something to look out for. Definitely got to keep your eye on, especially when you're in reference to striking athletes that did very well in another combat sport that make the transition to mixed martial arts fighting. And, you know, so far he made quite a debut and quite a first appearance, so we'll be excited to see what he does against Matt Brown. But not to be overlooked would be the 145-pound debut of Maximo Blanco, who's also coming over from Strikeforce after he had his debut party crashed by Pat Healy. So he's going to come over to the UFC, where they have a division that's a little bit lighter than 155, to see if he can match himself up against guys that are a little bit more his size. He's going to be taking on Marcus Brimage. So this should be a very fast, scrambly kind of contest, and sure to be exciting for all MMA fans. We're going to go ahead and get out of here for this episode. I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to my sponsor, which is multimonitors.com, Super PC. My partners, Coalition Fight Music, Tony Savo. Want to give a shout out to Brian Santee at the United Mixed Martial Arts Organization. Andrew Gladstone for taking over the journalistic duties at jbstaredownmma.com. I want to congratulate Karen Bryant and Wade Eck for their fantastic coverage they did at the UFC on Fuel 2 just this past weekend. They were awesome. The well-deserved effort and just extremely well-done job all the way around. Reganta Q. Cleast and the work that he's done at the Van Saskatoon Foundation, the Hackenshire triplets, and that's Jaff, Jash, and Shao. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Guys, have a good one. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.